Kids are in bed?
Kids are in bed.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 39 of The Kids Are in Bed. I'm Tim Severson, and this is Jenni Severson. Jenni, how you doing?
I'm so good, thanks. How are you?
Good. I feel underdressed.
Oh, this whole thing?
Look like it came from a boardroom.
I didn't change. Usually I put on a sweatshirt or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have this t-shirt.
It's just what I wore today.
It's just what I wore today. How are you?
I am so great. How are you?
We had a busy weekend.
Psh, you're telling me.
Man, oh man. It was, I got surprised.
I like surprises.
Yeah. It was very well done. The good news is that the ring cam did its job. So we do have video.
Fantastic.
Or Tim? This is Tim.
We can't answer the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
I'm just watching a video. Hey, how you doing?
But my friend Stefan, my oldest friend in this world, came, and it was funny because we were sending each other videos the day before, back and forth, and we do that often, just kind of being stupid. And I thought that
I've seen some of these videos.
Very,
they are peculiar.
Very, very funny. And
you two think you're hilarious.
And so I just happened to, you had a day off. And so we had this plan to have a day and we were going to go get coffee. And did we decide just that morning that we were going to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we were all ready to go and the kids had gotten on the bus and I was showing you the videos and we were right by the front door and the door was open just a little bit. Our storm door was closed, but like our main door was just open a little bit and I could see
right by the front door.
We were right by the front door. And
I didn't plan that. That was a total coincidence.
I know. And so I saw somebody walking up and I just kind of figured, I don't know what I thought. I just didn't really pay attention. And then they rang the doorbell. And you just plastered against the wall like you would do if somebody rang the door. And
hate when people ring the
so
doorbell.
I looked out and there's a guy with a beard and a camo hat on. And he's holding a little tied up plastic bag that says Spirit Halloween on the side. And so other friends of ours sent us balloons from Party City. So I was like, somebody's sending something it's probably for Halloween. I don't know. Weird. And so then the guys are like, Tim Severson. And I'm like, what's happening? And I kind of knew very quickly that something odd was going on, but it took me a minute to kind of process. And then I was surprised. And so it took me a second. But it was very, very exciting. And then we went out on the town in Rogers, Minnesota.
Hit up Rogers. Just what you like to do when you have a guest from DC.
Yeah.
Take them around Rogers.
Yeah.
I was like, why not though?
Right.
What's the point of driving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay close by. We've got a new brewery in town. A bunch of stuff to do. So it was
I
fun.
like the new brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, of course, we had homecoming. Mm-hmm. Which was a blast. There were a lot of people that showed up for that. We had a great tailgate. I was equipped
with a lot lot of knowledge about the history of homecoming. It was very helpful.
Did you use any of that knowledge?
I did not, but I was ready. I had it on the ready should I have needed it.
We had awesome weather. It was a perfect day for football. And
such a nice day.
The Gophers killed Maryland, which was super fun. Unless you flew all the way out here, but he was a good sport about it. We found a lot of blood in the football stadium.
Oh yeah, somebody got effed up in the bleachers before the game even started.
Oh yeah, we don't know when it was. We were late into the game. They scored a touchdown before we got in.
Oh, well, it was very early.
Yeah. And we were like walking to those spots and everybody around, like nobody wanted to say like, yeah, somebody got a bloody nose or somebody fell or
That
there was a
not
fight.
a bloody nose.
There was a lot of blood.
There was a lot of blood.
Yeah. Yeah. But we had a great game and then played some golf on Sunday. So it was a good weekend. It was fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. But it's a lot. Stayed up too late.
You stayed up way too late. I even told you before I went to bed, boys, now don't stay up too late. I mean, I said it just like that.
It was.
You didn't listen to me at all.
You know, because my parents were staying here the night before the game too, and my mom came down for some sort of emergency, so we just couldn't be left alone to just hang out for a little while without.
You sat in the hot tub for 3 hours. Are you kidding me?
It was perfect hot tub weather. It was 45 degrees. There was no wind.
I'm pretty sure that's like against medical advice.
Sit halfway in. Yeah, no, it was fun. It was a great weekend. Thank you for planning that with him. That was super fun.
Yeah. It's
Super
very stressful to hold a surprise. Very stressful. It was his idea.
I knew nothing.
It was his idea, but I had to be the keeper of the surprise.
Yeah.
And I almost said something approximately every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, when Stefan's here, we should go there.
Yeah.
Like, because 100 times it just almost slips right out. I'm like, oh, don't do it.
Yeah. Super fun. Super fun. All right. Are you ready for this week's topic?
Yeah. What is it? What are we talking about?
Well, it's spooky season. So we're going to talk about Halloween this week.
Okay.
All right. So let's get right into it, Jenny.
Right into Halloween?
If somebody asked you, where does Halloween come from? What would your answer be?
Where does Halloween come from?
I can tell you before I did any research, I had like a kind of an answer, but I really didn't know.
I think it's like some sort of pagan tradition around, wasn't it called like All Hallows Eve?
So this is kind of how I would have thought about it.
Okay.
And it turns out we both are kind of blending things, but that's kind of part of it. So here's what I found out. Okay, so All Hallows Eve, right? So there's that, and then there's All Saints Day, which is November 2nd. Here's what I've decided about Christians, is they are a foot in and a foot out on Halloween. So I'm going to say, sorry guys, like you're either all in on Halloween or you're all out. Like there's a lot of division over what constitutes the actual holiday, where it starts to sound like people are trying to make up that they started it. Like it began with Christianity. There's a big thing that says that.
Can't even imagine that could be true.
Right. So
didn't they like really dislike it?
Yeah. So well, it's divided. There's the division of I think how it progressed through time, and I don't even mean like into like now. I think it's like over time. The pagan got too mixed in, and some Christians were like, no, that's not exactly what we're doing here. So let's talk about the pagan tradition. Because I think, as far as I researched, I think that this sounds most likely where it came from. So it's a Celtic festival called Swearin, not spelled like that at all. Samhain.
That's how you spell swearing.
Yep. So I don't know. That's
Celtic,
Irish.
huh?
Yeah. So
Halloween is?
So hear me out. So swearing was celebrated like over 2,000 years ago, primarily in Ireland, Britain, and like
Why do you keep saying Britain?
I don't know. Britain and northern France. I don't know. That L, I couldn't get it out of there. In northern France. Blended is the theory from Roman holidays that were brought in from the Roman conquests in 43 AD.
Holy.
Right. So and so there are a couple. One is Feralia, and that is a Roman festival that is commemorating the dead. And then there's also Pomona, which is celebration honoring the Roman goddess of fruit and plants. It's all going to make sense.
Okay.
Stick with it.
Okay.
All right.
I'm very confused.
So as far as I could tell, really the only thing that really contributes to Halloween having anything to do tying to Christianity is just Halloween coming from All Hallows Eve. Like that lineage is where that piece came from. But outside of that, that's it. Now, the Celtics. Swearin was actually a holiday that took place on November 1st. However, the Celtics recognized the beginning and end of the day at sunset.
Huh.
So they actually, by our standards today, they would celebrate it on the evening of October 31st.
That just hurt my brain a little.
So kinda, as I was thinking about it, I'm like, I kind of wish our days started and ended at sunset.
No, that sounds terrible.
Oh.
What?
I don't know.
What would be the benefit?
I don't know. Somehow it feels like, yeah, that makes sense to me. Like
the day starts and ends at sundown.
Yeah.
This day's over. I better but then you're up do you go to bed?
Yeah, I better get some good sleep in so I can get up early and not waste this day. I don't know.
When are you supposed to watch shows?
Anytime. I don't know why I feel like that's the way it should work, but somehow it just makes sense to me. Like when they said, I'm like, yeah, I kind of get that.
But then that's always changing, though.
Yeah.
That would really, I feel like, mess with your
Circadian rhythm.
I was gonna say equilibrium.
Same. Same.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
But yes, what you said. That would really mess that up.
I don't think it would, right? Because your circadian rhythm is by the sun. It's not by what our perception of a day is or time.
Oh.
So our biology doesn't know about the calendar that somebody made up or the fact that
nobody made it up. It's based on science. It's not just made up.
No, I know. But we follow the sun. That's it. You know what I mean? Time is mostly like the fact that a time is whatever it is, it's noon. That's just made up. Like just a label that's been put on something.
Okay.
And it's mostly made up. We learned it was made up by railroad. Like the standard time is so that people didn't miss trains. We've learned all about this. Time is mostly
I'm broken. A little bit.
The standardized time.
It doesn't make sense though because 24 hours is one rotation. So that's not just made up.
No, it's not made up. Right, I understand, but we decided to label times this, and I'm sure there is a reason that it starts and ends at midnight. I get that. I'm just saying.
It's based on science.
I'm saying regarding the circadian rhythm thing, it doesn't matter.
I do kind of want to go to bed when it's dark out.
Right.
But it can't work.
Why?
It can't work because days are longer and shorter.
More sleep?
You just sleep for...
Well, right, because our whole biology is built from back... So let's get back into this, okay?
Okay.
So the celebration of swearing was celebrating the end of harvest.
End of harvest!
And
I knew it!
Yeah, exactly.
When's the harvest? I don't...
When's the harvest?
Whenever the harvest is.
I don't know, Mother. When is the harvest?
Don't they need the kids out of school so they can do the harvest? I thought that's why summer vacation existed.
I don't know. It's definitely not the harvest.
Maybe not. Yeah, that's in the fall, isn't it?
And
time to get those kids out of school.
Yeah, and
To school.
And the beginning of winter. So there would
6 small weeks of winter.
6 more weeks of winter.
There would typically be like large gatherings and feasts, very Thanksgiving-esque kind of
You got all that
situation.
food, just like a squirrel, saved up.
Right. And so then they'd be bringing livestock in from the fields,
Pasture.
and they would be, slaughtering some. They would be getting rid of crops. So
R.I.P.
they're turning it over. So there would typically be a giant bonfire that people would bring. And so that was part of it. There was a belief that there was some sort of, I don't want to say healing power, but that it was a symbol of like light, and they thought maybe it would ward away evil spirits, because on Swearin, the belief was that was the day, because of it was leading into winter. This is when the barrier between the living and the dead was the thinnest.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Because it was the end of harvest?
So, right. So at first, when I was thinking about it, but then I'm like, and you'll
make any
you'll
sense?
see the pattern as we go, because you got to think about, you're in Ireland. It's about to be winter, and you're going, odds are pretty good that I'm going to die. And so this is all kind of built around the fact that you're going from the plentiful summer season, and now this is the beginning of leading into hard times. And so
All right.
so there are a lot of rituals that were in place trying to get good fortune, just like, please God, let me see spring. And so it's like,
Makes sense.
Get rid of evil spirits. Lots of things would indicate good fortune, as you'll come to see. So then from there, in line with that, do you know where, or even why anybody possibly would think the game Bobbing for Apples is fun to do, or why somebody came up with that? Do you know what that comes from?
Bobbing for apples.
Have you ever done it? I've done it once in my life and I hated it.
I don't think so.
It's the worst. It's not fun.
I can't imagine where that would have come from. No.
So, in Celtic mythology, apples are associated strongly with the spirit world, but they are also associated with abundance and fertility.
All right.
So,
Quite the education I'm getting.
I know. That links back to the Roman holiday of Pomona, the goddess of fruit and plants. So, what the game is young unmarried people would bob for apples, and they'd try to grab one, the game. And the first person to... Wait, how did it work? The first person to bite into the apple would be the next one to be allowed to marry. So it's all about... And then there was another apple game where they would put it... they would hang a wooden dowel from the center of the ceiling, and then they would tie an apple by a string, and then they just kind of push it around, and it would spin, and then you'd try to grab a hunk of the apple like that.
So you could get married?
Right. So it'd be like a good luck charm. And then the winner, like often if a female won the game, they would take the apple to bed with them and put it under their pillow so that they would dream of their lover that they were going to meet. It's also a tradition where they would take the apple peel and, just slice around the apple the whole way. You just try to make it the whole way, and then you throw it over your shoulder. And then you look at it, and it would be the initial of your future spouse.
Wow.
So apples,
very fun.
That's where apples come from. There's also
Hardly seems appropriate for a children's game.
Well, again, you got to think about lifespan, right? Like, trick or treating this year, having babies next.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
No, they.
Oh no!
Oh no! So that's where bobbing for apples comes from.
Interesting.
All right, let's move on to costumes, shall we?
Oh, okay. Let's do it.
Or as they call them back there, mumming and guising.
Mumming and guising
is what it would have been termed back then. And so there's a lot of theories about that. I think there are some accounts where they seem to think that might have happened earlier than what I'm about to tell you back in Celtic times, that they might have worn like animal heads and things like that. But that would have been more specifically to disguise themselves from spirits. It wasn't really, and maybe, I'm sure they probably ended up being like, oh, it's kind of fun to have, a cow's head on my head or whatever. But the thought was spirits that are breaking through and roaming around would be like, I don't want to mess with whatever that is. So that's why they were kind of scary, because it's supposed to ward away these spirits that might bring bad fortune and mean that you'll not make it through the winter.
Wow. That's a lot.
Right? Yeah.
I'm so glad I live in 2024. It's just like really good times. Really good times.
I've been telling you to get your Halloween costume ready. Go kill a bull. Otherwise, evil spirits are going to get you.
I don't want to. I don't want to kill a bull.
Yeah.
It is nice to not be scared of evil spirits. That is a
yes.
pro of my life.
Yes. Yes, it is a very big win because people are really scared. But so the first recorded, like, kind of a widespread mumming and guising, which I think we should call it.
I'll mum your guys.
Oh, guys, your mum. So it's 16th century Scotland is where they think the first real concept of going around and asking for or begging for things came from. Often it was for churches or just for like food and not really for treats.
For
yeah. So it's kind of offerings, because there is a touch too in the Celtic heritage. It very much feels like Dia de los Muertos in Mexico, where it's like family members, like they thought like, oh, our family members probably be hanging out in our houses.
Yes, yeah,
too.
I like
that kind of concept.
That I can get behind.
Yeah, so there was that size or that side of it, but they would they would basically carol. They would go to different houses,
I like
and they would sing, and then they would get food or bread or money for the church or whatever. And then I think after a while, people started to threaten mischief if you didn't give in. Mm-hmm. So that's where kind of the trick side of it starts to come in. But it sounds a lot more like a shakedown. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, we've got our costumes on. We're singing out here. So give us your food. Otherwise, we're going to mess with you.
It does kind of sound like a shakedown. And the trick or treat song does exist. Trick or treat.
Oh yeah.
Smell my feet. Give me something.
Spoiler,
good to
that
eat.
comes from Celtic roots too.
What?
Jesus Christ.
I've really been hanging on you every word over here. I didn't really think that one through.
Oh man.
I thought you were going to say something about smelling feet. Actually, it turns out.
So
the smell of the feet.
So all of this would happen because people would be disguising themselves to ward off the spirits while also trying to get food. I would suspect too there must be a piece of it where it's like we probably could use some extra food to make it through the winter. Yeah. So let's get some of that kind of deal.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, essentially the whole holiday exists because people were desperate to not die or be haunted. And they really, really wanted to be married soon.
Yeah.
So it's just like so let's dress up in costumes and bob for apples. And hope come spring we find a mate.
Sounds perfect.
So that brings us now we gotta move way ahead, believe it or not. What year do you think the first any semblance of Halloween appeared in North America.
Oh.
If you had to guess.
Oh, God.
Like if it was Wits and Wagers.
Wits and Wagers gives me so much stress. I don't ever want to look like a fool, you know? Because there's always that person whose answer is just like, that person is shit for brains.
It's such a fool's thing to say for somebody who so often is made to look a fool.
I'm pretty good at Wits and Wagers, actually. Seem to have beat you a few times.
Yeah.
I'm stalling.
I know you are.
Okay, so when did... early. Very early. Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would say pretty early, like 1500s.
The first evidence anywhere that I could find any evidence of across resources, across the internet, is 1911.
No.
In Kingston, Ontario.
No.
Yep.
That cannot be true.
Yep.
That can't be true.
Is the earliest known occurrence of the practice of guising at Halloween in North America.
Wait, what was your question?
Like trick-or-treating. Sorry. Did you mean Halloween? Like the concept of Halloween?
I thought you meant Halloween.
No. I'm sorry. I probably wasn't. I was jumping from mumming and guising to this.
Trick-or-treating.
The whole... Yes, I'm sure All Hallows Eve, all of those things existed. The concept of mumming and guising, trick-or-treating.
I didn't understand mumming and guising was trick-or-treating.
My fault.
My fault. No,
I think I asked the question
no
poorly.
need to apologize. Actually, I think I still would have gotten that wrong, though.
I would have, too.
Trick-or-treating didn't start till 1911?
11. In Kingston, Ontario, of all places.
You know what's really weird, though? Have you ever seen Meet Me in St. Louis?
I have not.
The St. Louis World's Fair?
Oh, yeah. I have.
There's trick-or-treating in that.
Okay.
Isn't that in, like...
When was the movie made?
When is that? When was the St. Louis World's Fair?
I don't... early 1900s. But when was the movie actually made? Do you know?
Oh, like in the 1950s?
Oh, yeah. So
you're saying it's not historically accurate?
I'm saying it's based on a true story.
When was that World's Fair? It was in the teens.
It was either in the late 1800s, but I think that was in France. Maybe that was 1890s. Maybe
it was.
Is that the one that had Nikola Tesla at it? I can't remember.
There's a whole scene in that movie about Halloween.
Yeah, well, it's made up. These are facts, Jack.
Excuse me.
So 1911, Kingston, Ontario, and this was reported in a newspaper that kids were going around and guising on October 31st.
This doesn't make any sense. There's a black hole here.
Okay.
Something's missing.
What?
How did it just disappear?
It didn't disappear. The traditions carried on in Europe.
Nobody brought the traditions with them to the New World. That seems outrageous.
Okay, Jenny, you show up in the New World ready to reach for the American dream, and you want to go run around and tell people like, "Hey, do you guys put animal heads so that the spirits don't get you?" Like, that seems crazy to you that people wouldn't take a swing and be like, "Do you also want to put a carcass on your body so that the spirits don't get you?" You know what I mean?
Just saying, it's kind of weird. You just leave your traditions behind.
That's kind of a big part of it. Like why people came here. It was almost 100%, right?
Oh, that's true. Yep. Got it. All caught up.
So and what's interesting is, so it shows up 1911 in Canada, stays in Canada. So there is no reference to guising, trick-or-treating, anything like that, except for Chicago in 1920. There was an article about kids running around in costumes, but no reference to trick or treating. But between like 1917 and 1924, then you start to see. So the first reference was in Sault Ste. Marie in Canada, once again, in 1917 for, they called it tricks or treats. That's the first time that has been, that in our, well, actually in culture, in the world, because even until like the early 2000s in Ireland, they said something really odd. They didn't say anything catchy. It was like weird, like donate to our Halloween party or something like that. Seriously, it was like give to our Halloween party or something like that. Like super. But so then in Edmonton in 1922, there were articles that had treat up or tricks, and also treat or tricks. In 1924 in Penhold, Alberta, Canada, they had treat or trick. And then it's very close. There's Chatsworth, Ontario, a day before the Sault Ste. Marie article, and a smaller publication had trick or treat. So that's where credit goes for the first reference to actually trick or treat as we know it today. But tricks or treats held on until Charlie Brown's It's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. They said in that, either in that show or in the advertisement for it, tricks or treats. So trick or treat wasn't the sole winner for forever.
You're so proud of yourself right now.
I did a lot of research.
I can tell.
So we talked about it feeling like back in the day, like they were just, trying to take food from people and just showing up as an angry mob. So in the United States, it doesn't appear that trick-or-treating really took hold in any major way until the 1930s at the very least. But even then, it wasn't super widespread. It wasn't until the late 40s, post-World War II, that it became widespread. Part of that maybe because sugar was short because of the war effort.
Okay.
But once it did get started, old people did not care for it in the United States.
No, those curmudgeons.
Yes.
What?
They felt as though it was extortion.
Candy? Just hand out a Werther's.
And so there were articles about that. So it's like this new phenomenon, and these kids are just showing up asking for our food, that kind of thing. So much so that the Madison Square Boys Club protested in 1948 and carried a banner that says
Carry the banner.
It said
Carry the banner.
American boys don't beg. And so the idea was that we're having fun. We're not begging for your food. This is supposed to be a fun thing.
Yeah.
And
good for them.
Did you also know that for a while, right before Thanksgiving, there was very similar to Halloween, where you'd go around, but I think the idea was people would dress kind of shabby, and it was called Ragamuffin Day. And you would go around and ask for things, but it got phased out because kind of the same thing. But it was, Ragamuffin Day.
Somebody just made that up.
No, it was a tradition until like the 50s.
Whoever started it.
Yeah.
They were just like, I got an idea.
Yeah, it was probably during the Depression. It's like, hey, man, it's Ragamuffin Day. Like, oh, sorry.
No,
People were so stupid back then. It's like, oh, here.
They were not stupid. That's not kind.
I know. It is kind of the impression, though, isn't it? Like, you're just like, I could go back and I could get away with a lot now, knowing what I know. No? Guess I'm the only one that thinks like that.
No.
So and then from then on out, then that's where it's just grown here, and became what Halloween is. Mm-hmm. And now Halloween, as it was created here, has pretty much been adapted around the world to, their holidays. It's very similar, around the world.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, because that pagan holiday kind of went in all different directions. And so there's ties to Germany, obviously Western Europe, kind of all up and down, but then in Italy as well, and in Japan too, and the Philippines. I think they had similar holidays that were kind of in the same vein, not very close, but it's kind of the same concept of this dressing up. So it seems like humans really enjoy getting dressed up.
All except you.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand it. You sent me out for costumes, and I got so anxious. Like, I wanted to do such a good job, and I knew that you were struggling, so I wanted to come through so bad, and I got so frustrated.
You did great. You did great.
Yeah. So there you go. That's Halloween. That's the tradition of Halloween. So now, I had Halloween traditions.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have Halloween traditions?
You know my Halloween tradition.
I actually don't. I know that you didn't trick or treat growing up, but I actually don't know what you did instead.
I went to a movie.
Oh yeah, you did a movie.
Yeah, so we didn't trick or treat in my house, but we could dress up at the school. The school, and actually, we could dress up at the church too. That's what I'm saying. Like when you were saying that what did you say? They had one foot in.
Yep.
There were Halloween costume parties at my church, but I wasn't allowed to trick or treat.
Got it.
So that's confusing.
Okay, so you did
but
it.
But it was very. There were
costumes.
lots of rules on what the costumes could be.
Yeah.
I could never be a witch.
Right.
Or a demon. Clementine was a demon.
Or a CEO.
What?
I don't know. Christians don't like women being impressive.
Oh. I was a flapper for many, many years. My grandma would make me flapper dresses.
Yeah.
I was usually like a dancer or a flapper or something. It was something.
Nothing.
I didn't say anything.
You said something with your eyes, I think.
But that was my thing I was most frustrated about, not being able to do it fully.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever actually remember being upset about trick-or-treating because we had our own tradition.
Yeah.
I remember being upset that I couldn't be a witch. I really wanted to be a witch, like every Halloween.
Yeah.
And I wasn't allowed to. But we went to a movie, and I don't remember feeling left out of the trick-or-treating.
I don't think it's more just about like my memories of trick-or-treating aren't super about the act of it, right? It's you remember having the candy. But it was because we would go actually to the neighborhood your mom lives in now. That's where we would trick or treat because my neighborhood wasn't super built for it. And we just go out. But I don't have I can always remember the start of it. But I don't remember, there's always that one house that had these decorations or things like that.
I don't think decorations are... I don't think decorations were what they are now. Now people go really over the top.
Yeah,
on decorating.
I think if I were to remember one, it's like the idea of look like having a scarecrow. And then there'd always be one house where there's a guy actually dressed up to look like that, and he'd kind of flinch at you, that kind of thing. Like that's been around for a while, but. No, we would go out before I was old enough. The dads would take us out, and the moms would stay back at the house to hand out candy because it was cold. And then we just go back and eat candy and watch Simpsons Halloween special.
Nice.
Another thing you weren't allowed to do.
Wasn't allowed to watch Simpsons.
Yeah.
I have one memory that was trick-or-treating related at the movies because that year Burger King was giving out buckets.
Okay.
So I don't know if you
for trick or treating.
If you got with your Happy Meal or not Happy Meal, sorry.
Yeah.
You got a little glow in the dark type bucket
Yeah.
that I think was supposed to, obviously the idea was you would use it for trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
But we got those buckets
Uh-huh.
from going to Burger King. And so when it was Halloween, we were like, me and my brother, I think it was my younger brother, were excited about our buckets. And we wanted to bring them into the movie because they were glow in the dark.
Uh-huh.
And we were going to use them for popcorn. So we were like super excited about we were like, yeah, we're going to bring out buckets. We're going to film with popcorn. It's going to be so fun. And when we walked into the movie theater, the woman behind the counter made a comment about how sad it was that we didn't have any candy. She was like, oh my gosh, you guys didn't get any candy? And I was just like, I was excited about putting popcorn in it.
Yeah.
But I had this moment where I was like, okay, I should be upset.
Yeah.
But I wasn't at all.
Right.
But she felt like sorry for me.
Mm-hmm.
So then that made me feel kind of weird.
Oh.
But other than that, I didn't ever feel like I was missing out.
Got it. Yeah. Interesting. You really like that bucket.
It was like, I don't know what's happening, but you were like responding very strangely to my story. I'm like, why are you responding so strangely to this? I was excited because it was going to go in the dark in the movie theater. And I love popcorn.
When I lived in upstate New York, my dad used to take care of Amish kids. And every once in a while I'd go with him. And that story kind of felt like when I'd go see them, I'd be like, oh.
I was at the movie theater. I was seeing movies.
Me and my brother got this bucket. We're like, this can hold things like our popcorn. Love that bucket.
I really did love that bucket.
Oh my God. Unbelievable. So from there, then when we got into college, I don't remember dressing up in high school ever.
I actually do remember dressing up in high school once at least with my girlfriends. We were the Spice Girls. I think that was in high school. I was Sporty Spice.
I feel like in movies, there's always like a Halloween party for high school kids and they dress up, but I don't remember ever dressing up. But that would make sense for me. I probably wouldn't have taken the time unless somebody.
We were at a party once in a garage. And I know that there were people dressed up. There was a girl in a red sheet.
It was a super long barn.
Yeah.
I remember that party.
In a green sheet. And they were like Christmas or something like that.
Yeah.
But they're the only two costumes I remember.
Yeah.
So maybe they were the only two people dressed up.
Yeah. That checks out. But in college, we did costumes together.
Yeah. I made you. You were not interested. But you did it.
Yeah.
Thank you. We were Fred and Flintstone.
Yep.
Fred and Wilma.
Yep.
1 year.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to say what the other one was.
Okay. I figured not. I wasn't going to say it. I was letting you do it.
We were an inappropriate... yeah, we won't say that one. What else were we?
I can't remember.
And then when we had kids, we started doing family costumes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
We've been Toy Story characters.
Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh when Jude was a baby.
Mm-hmm. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I was Peter Parker. That was the best. See, that's my thing. I love a good costume that's normal clothes with very minimal work. Mm-hmm. And I just wore a lanyard that said I was Peter Parker. Mm-hmm. And somebody, I can't remember who it was, but somebody was like, oh, that's dumb. And I'm like, no, it isn't.
I worked really hard on this.
Did I
lanyard?
Printed it out. I even used the thing in my office that made sure you cut straight lines so it was square in my lanyard.
Paper cutter?
Is that what it's called? A paper cutter?
That's what I would call it.
I don't know what it seems like there should be a name. Like, you know what I'm talking about, you know?
Yeah,
like
it goes...
Well, there's that kind. We had one where you just push it down as like a razor blade that you slid, so then you could get more exact with it.
X-Acto knife?
X-Acto blade?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We were Scooby-Doo.
Yes, Scooby-Doo.
1 year?
Yeah, that was just a couple years ago. Yeah.
feel like we're missing one. But
Are you dressing up this year?
I'm dressing up at work.
Yeah, we don't have any. We don't have any Halloween events that we've done or been invited to.
My niece is coming over on Halloween, and she asked if I was dressing up. And Rick and Christy, my brother and his fiance are dressing up, and my niece and her fiance are dressing up. So I said, yes, I'm dressing up. But I have no plans prepared for what I will be dressing up as.
Okay.
Is in 2 days. I figured I would just go dig through the bins and find something.
I'm sure we could come up with something fun.
Yeah. We have for somebody who doesn't like Halloween, you have a lot of costumes. We have bins of costumes in our back room.
Yeah. Yes. But usually most of my costumes are usually made out of things I already have and with a little extra.
Except for the one year you were the ostrich.
Yeah.
That was funny.
I found that at the last Kmart I've ever been in my entire life for $15, and it was the best $15 I'd ever spent.
I have one of those this year. Remember I got it at a work event?
Oh, yeah.
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 Not an ostrich, but same idea.
Yeah. Yeah, the inflatable.
Those are fun.
The inflatable one.
Did you know that when we were trying to decide if we would have kids or not, don't listen to this, kids. Hope they don't find this. But we didn't know if we wanted to have kids.
Yeah.
It was like a dialogue we had. I think in the back of my mind, I always knew that we would.
Yeah.
But we dialogued about it for quite some time.
Yeah, well, when you're in the heart of your 20s, it's hard to go like, I kind of want to put the brakes on this fun.
Yeah. Yeah. But one of the reasons that I was like, when I was like having the whole like dialogue about, do I want to have kids? Do I not want to have kids? Like being a mom who's good at everything was like on my mind. And like, if I'm going to be a mom, I want to be the mom who's the best at being a mom. I know, right? Yeah. Okay. Nice. Thanks, Tim. But Halloween costumes was like on my mind. I had a conversation with one of my coworkers about this, where I was like, if I'm going to have kids, I want to be the mom who makes the homemade costume. And I'm like, just stop it. I was like, I knew, because my grandma always made my costumes. Those flapper dresses, they were homemade. Yeah. She homemade my flapper dresses. Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think I can do that. So I don't think I can be a parent. Like, I'm pretty sure I can't have kids if I can't make homemade Halloween costumes. That was like my line of thought.
Interesting.
Anyways, clearly, I mean, it's not that funny.
Pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
I feel like we're missing a good costume. Well, what's the best costume what's your favorite costume you have ever had? Child or adult?
I think the best work I've ever done was actually for an office Halloween costume. I didn't wear it anywhere else because we had people in my office who were super into Halloween. And so it was like we would have a party and our whole office would be dark with smoke, and it was this whole big thing. We'd have a costume contest, and if you didn't do it, you'd get harassed all day, and I didn't care for that. So we had recently at my company passed out a book that was like the spirit of the company, and I wasn't I wasn't a believer in the word of the gospel that was planned out. Mm-hmm. And mostly I knew that there were people who were important that would also not participate in the things outlined in that. So it was kind of like, miss me with all of this bullshit. And so I decided that I would take that book and turn it into my own little Bible. And I knew that it could work both ways because egos often can miss subtle ironies. And so I went dressed in black pants and a white shirt with a blue tie and a backpack holding, and everybody who talked to me, I'd ask them if they had a little bit of time for me to share the word. And so it was taken as, look at that tremendous spirit, when personally I was laughing because I was shitting all over the idea. But I even tucked in my pant leg to my leg so it looked like I got, or into my sock so that it looked like I got off my bike, you know?
Nice,
So I was
good.
like a little Mormon missionary. So, so horror movies, not your favorite. Have you seen the, like, when somebody says like horror movies, I think they think like Freddy, Jason, things like that. Have you seen those movies? Any of them that
I
you know?
have to have seen Nightmare on Elm Street at a sleepover as a kid, but I can't remember it at all. I mean, I definitely remember watching scary movies as a kid, but I can't remember what they were.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't like scary movies.
No.
I mean, I would like them as a kid because it's like kind of fun to be scared when you're like, you know, safe.
Do you remember when we saw The Ring the first time?
I don't.
We saw The Ring the first time in Brainerd, and we came home to my parents' house, and we were both very scared. That movie terrified me, but it's mostly just that, it's just that unsettling kind of, you know, and that got to me. But we went to go turn on the TV, and we were both talking about like, we need to watch something funny like right now. And we turned on the TV, and I can't remember what was going on with the TV, but like we had satellite dish. And so I don't think I had seen a TV for a couple of years at that point that had the actual like fuzzy snow. Like it was like 2002. So it was past like that time where that was on all the time. But that was always what happened when the tape started, was it went like that. And then at the end, and then there'd always be a fly on it. Do you remember this at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
And so we sat down and we turned on the TV, and it was snow, and we like lost our minds. We were so scared. You don't remember this at all.
I don't.
It's so funny. But yeah, we don't do a whole lot of scary movies. I try every once in a while, but a lot of times I chicken out. So we don't really go hard on the scary movie side.
I remember though when I was done forever was Hostel.
Well, that's not even a scary movie. That's like
That's when I was just done with the genre. We went to Hostel, and I was like, I'm never watching a scary movie.
Yeah, I don't even
again.
know. I don't even know what you call that. I mean, gore. I guess it's just hard.
I'm done.
Hardcore
I'm done.
gore. How about ghosts? Do you have any ghost encounter stories, or do you even believe in ghosts?
I don't have any ghost encounter stories.
No.
Nothing.
Do you remember? I am just remembering this right now, so I doubt you will. But do you remember there was like a old abandoned school out by the airport in Brainerd, and one time we drove out and like you could sneak into it, and it had been all graffitied up. And then there was like lore about, you know, some tragedy or something. Kids were abused there, you know, the same thing that everybody hopes for when they want something to be haunted. No, you don't remember that?
No.
I can't remember. We did it one time. But yeah, we had a neighborhood ghost story because there was like an abandoned house in the woods, kind of in our neighborhood. And so a story got made up and started to get passed around about the did we just call it the McKay ghost? I think so. And it, you know, and everybody would just kind of add on to it. And then like there was the time, right? Because I think when it first started, I was probably young enough to be like, I think it's fake, but it could be real. And then we were doing something. It was, should this be like a time where we make up a story that we saw the ghost? Like, and then, because it's like somebody would be out like playing hide and seek, and we'd go by. And so then we would go run up terrified as they were playing hide and seek. And then you just are out of breath. And you're just like, we just saw the McKay go. And then everybody's like, what are you? Yeah, right. And then you take them all back, and then you start like rattling branches and circling around, doing all that. Very fun.
I can totally picture Jude doing that with his friends. We just saw.
Oh yeah.
Like when you're doing that, I could like hear his voice. No, seriously, we just saw it. Yeah. You guys.
And you don't stop until the littlest kid that's in the bunch starts crying. You just got.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Terrible. So yeah, and then we've got Halloween in our neighborhood now that we have the kids, like you said, and we've got a great Halloween neighborhood.
We have the best Halloween
Turn it up.
neighborhood. Our neighborhood knows how to Halloween.
Sure does. Some people have like full on haunted walkways. People play movies on there. Although this year, sorry to bring it up.
I am so upset about the
It
weather.
was 78 degrees today in Minnesota.
It was freaking gorgeous.
And it's going to be, I think it has gotten a little warmer. It's a high of 46 now. I think it was a high of 40. So we're moving in the right direction.
And rainy though.
Only in the morning, I think. That's what the rain is going to bring the cold. So I think that's kind of.
I'm so upset. I haven't been this upset about something in quite some time. How can it be 78 degrees on Tuesday and 45 and rainy 2 days later when all of the small children of the world are just trying to trick or treat?
Exactly. This is why we're wearing our costumes, because we got to scare the winter away.
Ugh.
The harvest is ended. We need to find mates and hunker down. Pop for some apples.
I hope you already found your mate. Would be my preference.
I can't find another one.
I don't have to know.
That's
I don't
true.
know why is this working?
It's got to be you. So there you go.
Oh my
So
God, that's such a terrible trick to play on someone. And someone has totally done that.
oh yeah,
That is a terrible, terrible thing to do. Terrible.
terrible. Well, happy Halloween,
Happy
everybody.
Halloween.
Stay safe out there. Check your candy for razor blades. It's the dangerous time of year to be on the streets. Wear reflective gear.
Yes. Very important. Safety first.
Then teamwork. Should we go check on the kids?
Let's go check on the kids.
See you next week, everybody.